Hundreds of thousands packed St. Peter's Square once again today.
This time they watched the inaugural Mass, formally installing Pope Francis. He is now officially the 266th leader of the Roman Catholic Church. Alan Pizzi is in Vatican City. Alan, what a morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Charlie and Nora. Well, as you can see behind me, the square is now being cleaned up and emptied out so the church can get down to business. Papal inaugurations used to be known as enthronements. This one was much simplified, but it still carried the weight of centuries of ritual and tradition. Francis' tour of the crowd in his Pope-mobile through a sea of flags from dozens of nations was a modern version of the triumph ancient Romans held to reward conquering heroes. But in keeping with the new style he is setting for the papacy, Francis connected with the adoring crowd rather than lording over them, stopping his open Pope-mobile to kiss babies, even getting out to bless a disabled man. The service is known as the beginning of the Petrine ministry of the Bishop of Rome, a reference to St. Peter, and Francis prayed in front of his tomb before the Mass began. To a hymn celebrating Christ and innumerable saints, two major symbols of the papacy were presented. The pallium, a woolen stole representing a lamb being carried on a shepherd's shoulder, followed by the ring of the fisherman, so named because Peter, a fisherman by trade, was instructed by Christ to be a fisher of men. By contrast, none of the dignitaries who ranged from royalties to heads of state, U.S. Vice President Joe Biden and various prime ministers and diplomats were actually personally invited. For the first time in almost 1,000 years, the Patriarch of the Orthodox Church chose to come. And Francis had a simple message: protection and hope. Invoking the saint from whom he took his name, Francis called for respect for people and the environment. In the end, everything is entrusted to our protection, he said, and all of us are responsible for it. The crowd wasn't as huge as predicted, but there was no doubting the enthusiasm.
I'm so excited. I feel so blessed. I can't believe I'm here still.
And in another example of simplicity, the Pope didn't give anyone in the crowd communion, but 500 priests did. An unmentioned feature of this ceremony is that many of the dignitaries, including Vice President Joe Biden and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, are pro-choice and support same-sex marriage, a stark contrast to the conservative Pope. Nonetheless, he's greeting all the dignitaries, and we doubt very much that the issues will be raised at that ceremony.